Hello again and welcome to another video from the Marketing Study Guide. In this video I'm going to explain the connection between the BCG Matrix and Porter's generic strategies. My name is Jeff, I'm a long-term marketing lecturer and practitioner. Okay, so you're probably aware of Porter's generic strategies, typically presented in 4 boxes. Initially it was 3 and then he modified it slightly. So the big 2 at the top, when we're pursuing a broad scope, a lot of market coverage, a lot of segments, either cost leadership or differentiation. So this is our source of strategic advantage or our underlying strategy. And we can come down to quite small parts of the marketplace. This used to be just a focus or a niche player or a targeted player. So we can do the same thing, targeting a smaller segment, either on a cost basis or a differentiation basis. Okay, now this is the BCG matrix, which you've probably seen before, with stars, question marks, dogs, cash cows. Up here, this is the higher growth rate. This is the lower growth rate. This is market share, so higher relative market share and lower relative market share. I've just got that summarized there for you, but it's fairly straightforward. I'm assuming you're familiar with it. Okay, my first point is this BCG that I presented here is incorrect if we are only looking at one industry. The way the BCG was constructed in the 1960s was that this line represented 1. So relative market share of 1, if you have a higher relative market share of 1, like 1.5, you are the market leader. And there can only ever be one player who is either a star or a cash cow. Everybody else will have a relative market share of less than 1 because they're behind the market leader, assuming we're in the same industry, of course. We could plot different industries on this thing, but looking at the one industry only. So given that it can only be 1 star or cash cow, this is, if you plotted the same industry, this is how the BCG would look. Here I've got a cash cow and then 4 dogs. There's no stars, there's no question marks because we're looking at the same industry. So let's say it's a mature market with a 5% growth rate. Everybody sits at the same growth rate, and then it's just represented on relative market share. Okay, so this is how they would be mapped. So this is the original construction of the BCG matrix. Okay, so why are they connected? What's the connection between the 2? Let's have a look. Now, in terms of the BCG matrix, it says if you're a star or a cash cow, so this one in here is a much superior position to be in because we have a higher relative market share. And as we know, cash cows are the main profit drivers of any business because they are in a mature market. They have the advantage of being the leader, and they will typically stay that way, and with minimal investment they will drive out a lot of profitability for the company, and they can then invest that in stars and possibly some question marks, etc. And then over here, anything that is a dog, the BCG matrix goes, well, do we really want that? That's has no upside. It's in a mature market with low market share, so it's never going to become a cash cow. It's never going to be a big driver of profitability. It could be a nuisance for you to manage. You're better off just selling it and then using the money somewhere else. So that's simple. Put it simply, that's the what the BCG matrix is suggesting. Okay, now keep in mind, this is a model developed in the late 1960s. At that time, developed economies were far more manufacturing based. So that's a factor in the design of this matrix. And cash cows on this side were considered superior portfolios to have, very profitable portfolios, because of these factors. They would have a cost advantage. They would have economies of scale because they're producing a lot more because they're the market leader. They have learning curve benefits. What that means is over time with manufacturing, as we do things repetitively, there's a relationship between that and your ability to do it more efficiently. Okay, so that's in addition to economies of scale, which is just being larger and having sales across your fixed costs and becoming more efficient. This is actually learning and improving and becoming more productive and having a lower cost structure. So either way, the cash cows are able to get their average unit cost down, okay, primarily in a manufacturing business. And that gives them two choices. One, they can undercut the market and have the lowest price in the marketplace and not really be challenged. And Walmart is probably a good example of that. Their logistics, their scale, their size makes it very difficult for any other supermarkets or grocery chains to match their profitability. Or the alternative thing is you could have a relatively similar price to your competitors, and then you'll have a much bigger profit margin, make a lot more profit. That can be built into brand building or some sort of new products or some sort of technology advantage, etc. So you can reinvest in the business to become stronger and superior to your competition. Either way, this is the place to be in the BCG matrix. Okay, so here they can compete on price or margin. Here we can't. We are so far behind in terms of market share, especially these players, that we cannot get the same cost structure. So we can't compete on price. We can't even match price. So I've got in quote marks, forced to differentiate. The only way we can compete here is to bring something new to the market that appeals to a different segment, or the market leader does not offer. We need to come up with something, unique to attract customers. So in terms of BCG matrix, this is where you want to be, competing on price, cost advantage, etc. And over here, oh well, we didn't make it. We're not the cash cow. We're a dog, or we're, a question mark or something. So we have to differentiate, and we have to do something different to attract people. Okay, and the same concept came from Porter's. When he put this model together, he initially said the cost leadership issues superior position. And there's only one player normally who can do that. If you cannot get cost leadership, then you must look at differentiation. So the same strategic guidance was given by both models. So here I've got stars, cash cows, best strategy, but only one company, and that's our cost leadership importers. Either way, it's a broad-based or a focus-based, doesn't matter. And then our second choice is every other company has to differentiate, and that becomes the second option. And both are suggesting that there's only one player who can get a true cost leadership position because of scale, and the rest differentiate. Obviously, these are older models, more manufacturing focused. Costs are probably less important price points, so probably less important than they used to be. People that have more disposable income, a bit more affluent, etc., etc. A lot more developed countries, a lot larger attractive markets out there, etc. So the concept may have changed, but the relationship between these models is quite significant. Okay, so it just presents the same strategic hierarchy. One, the best place to have is a cost leadership position, and that gives us price advantage and margin advantage. And then failing that, then we look at differentiation. And obviously most companies are here, they compete on differentiation. Okay, so we think about just finally on the BCG matrix, the goal, what the strategy was from the BCG matrix. If you were here as a cash cow, you put a little bit of money there. If you have a star, you pump a lot of money into it to maintain it as a star. And if you're over here where you don't have that cost advantage, you either drop your question mark. You could try to make a star, but you have to make a decision on capabilities and resources. And your dogs are typically sold off. Okay, so BCG was pretty straightforward. These are in, invest, these are out. However, with Porter's model, at least it says, okay, these players, if we differentiate, we can still be successful. So it still offered some hope for the followers and the laggers, unlike the BCG matrix, which was a little bit more clear cut. We should move these out of our portfolio. But keep in mind, the BCG matrix was developed for large companies with lots of portfolios. So selling off a couple of minor ones is probably not as significant for them at that time. Okay, so hopefully that explains the connection between the BCG and Porter's generic strategies. Hopefully you got some value out of the video, and please check out my other videos and please subscribe to my channel.